Ladies and gentlemen, good day, and welcome to the Jindal Drilling Limited to discuss the Q3 FY25 earnings conference call hosted by Antique Stock Broking Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will remain in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal the operator by pressing star, then zero on your touchtone telephone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Varatharajan from Antique Stock Broking. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ryan. Very good afternoon to all the participants and the management of Jindal Drilling. It's my pleasure to welcome the participants as well as Mr. Kaushal Bengani of Jindal Drilling to this call. Mr. Kaushal will be representing the management and will give a brief overview of the results as well as the company, and then we can open the floor for Q&A. I hand over the floor to Mr. Kaushal for the initial comments.
Thank you, Mr. Varatharajan. Good afternoon, shareholders, and thank you for joining our earnings call. The key development in Q3 FY25 was deployment of our rig Jindal Supreme with ONGC on 15th of October 2024. Our teams, both in office and on the rig, worked relentlessly to ensure successful deployment, and that has been beneficial for all stakeholders. As communicated earlier, our earnings have improved materially due to this event. Further, we are in the final stage of acquisition of Jindal Pioneer. Our earnings will improve additionally on acquisition of the said rig. I will briefly summarize the key financial indicators. On comparison of Q3 FY25 with previous quarter Q2 FY25, our revenue improved by 39% to 254 crores. EBITDA increased from 31 to 81 crores. PAT increased from 16 to 49 crores, and EPS increased from 5 rupees per share to 17 rupees per share. The jump in earnings was expected and was communicated in last three earnings calls, as contract was awarded earlier. The jump in earnings has primarily been attributed to deployment of Jindal Supreme in Q3. I would now like to take you through our earnings presentation. The first slide is about Jindal Drilling Industries. We are the leading offshore drilling services contractor in India's oil and gas sector. We have more than 35 years of experience in the sector of offshore drilling. We are supported by an efficient and experienced operational and management team who ensure that our efficiency is not compromised and we achieve highest levels of safety. We have been supporting and serving ONGC for past 30 years in their drilling programs. We've always explored opportunities with them. Apart from 5 offshore jackup rigs that are currently deployed with ONGC, we also provide mud logging and directional drilling services to the oil and gas sector. The fleet of rigs that we operate is detailed on the next slide. Thereafter, our order book of 1,636 crores is given rig-wise with day rates and contract duration. In order to assist our stakeholders to understand the way the order book will materialize going forward, we have given breakup year-wise, rig-wise on the next slide. The financial highlights have already been discussed earlier. EBITDA mix remains in line with the earlier trends, with more than 90% of EBITDA coming from the offshore drilling rig segment. Next slide is regarding the net cash position that we have. Our net cash position has doubled in last 9 months from 51 crores to 101 crores, and going forward, this position will improve as all rigs are deployed at higher rates on new ONGC contracts. That concludes the presentation, and I would now request Mr. Varatharajan to kindly open for questions.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use their handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question comes from the line of Nirvana Laha from Badrinath Holdings. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, congratulations on a blowout quarter. We were not expecting such great numbers while the Supreme deployment was known. So congratulations to the entire team on this achievement. Sir, for this quarter, how many days did Jindal Supreme operate? Was it 75 days?
Yes, 75 days. From 15th October 2024 onwards.
Okay. So the full impact of Jindal Supreme will only be seen in the next quarter, right?
In March quarter, that is correct.
Right. And sir, on Jindal Pioneer, congratulations. Finally, you've been waiting on this for a long time. You've now signaled that it's impending. So can we expect Pioneer acquisition to be completed in this quarter itself?
We are working on it. We also want to do it. We are in the final stage. It is also in our best interest to ensure that this transaction gets concluded within this quarter. The matter was also discussed at our board meeting, and we are taking necessary steps to ensure it is completed within this quarter. However, 100% confirmation can only be given once the transaction is actually through. But everyone in the organization who is involved in this project is working to ensure that it is completed within this quarter.
Understood, sir. And at the current run rate that the asset is earning, this should add about 8 to 10 crores to our quarterly PAT, right? Because only 50% is accruing to us right now.
The 50% the 49% which is being consolidated to Jindal Drilling is on account of earnings of 2 joint ventures.
Right.
One of these joint ventures owns the rig which we want to purchase.
Right, sir. Okay. I think I'll come back to you later on the numbers. So, sir, on the next 6 quarters, now that Supreme and Virtue are both tied up for the next 6 quarters till the time that both of these rigs are in contract, this current PAT run rate of 65 crore plus, especially with Pioneer coming in, without, giving guidance, just trying to understand that this run rate should now hold, right?
The run rate for December quarter should hold on the EBITDA level. Not so much on the revenue level, because one of our rigs will be dehired either in May or in September.
Right.
One of the rigs which we are operating, Jindal Explorer, will either get dehired in May or in September, depending on when the customer decides to dehire it.
Right.
But standalone EBITDA run rate, which we have achieved in December 24 quarter, should be taken as a base for the next 4-5 quarters, because all additional developments that will happen will only add further to the earnings of Jindal Drilling.
Yes, absolutely, sir. Got it. And so when will you get to know whether Explorer will be its term will get extended through the monsoon quarter? When will that be communicated?
Usually it gets communicated a couple of months before the conclusion of 3 years of the contract.
Okay.
So if it was deployed in May 2022, then by middle to end of March, we should have definite confirmation as to whether it will get rehired in May or whether it will get rehired in September.
Got it, sir. And one thing on ONGC, sir, I recently came across a press release that ONGC did. So they've awarded a contract to BP Exploration as a technical services provider towards improving the output from Bombay High. So reading that, it was not very clear to me whether this initiative will have a positive impact on Jindal Drilling or not. As in, does this production enhancement involve drilling new wells? So if you can clarify a little on this, if you've come across this news, is this a additional tailwind for us?
It's a good point that you brought up. I also wanted to bring it up earlier. On the 9th of January 2025, ONGC issued a press release, and I believe that's the press release you're speaking about.
Yes. Yeah.
Wherein they have hired BP Exploration Alpha Limited as a technical services provider to identify improvements in facilities and wells so that production can be enhanced. This is a clear indication that ONGC wants to increase exploration activities, and the fact that they have issued a press release means that further capital expenditure in the oil and gas sector is expected. This is a strong tailwind indicator for all oil and gas players. However, only when the expenditure actually takes place will it fructify. But since they've issued a press release, I believe more capital expenditure in oil and gas sectors in India is expected.
Amazing, sir. Great. Congrats again on the great performance and all the best for the upcoming quarters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Diwakar Rana from Prudent Equity Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
yes, Diwakar. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, I have one question. In this current quarter, we have reported around 17 crore of profit from JV. So can you clarify how much the profit has been generated from Jindal Finance?
Your voice is not very clear. Can you repeat again, please?
Yeah. Is it audible? Is it audible, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. Sir, I have one question on the JV profit. So in this quarter, we have reported around 17 crores of profit from JV. So how much of the profit that we have generated from Jindal Finance specifically?
We are not giving that out specifically. There are only two joint venture companies that are consolidated within Jindal Drilling. One of them owns Jindal Pioneer. That rate is known, and the other one owns Virtue One. That rate is also known. I think you can do the calculation. The consolidation is at 49%, which is the equity ownership of Jindal Drilling in each of these joint ventures.
Okay. And sir, one question on the depreciation part. So depreciation has been around 26 crore this quarter. So can we expect this depreciation going forward also in the remaining Q4?
If we do not go ahead with purchase of Jindal Pioneer, then this depreciation figure will remain. If we go ahead with purchase of Jindal Pioneer, then this depreciation figure will increase because a new asset will come into Jindal Drilling, and when the new asset comes into Jindal Drilling, then from the date of acquisition, depreciation charge will be there.
Okay. And one last question on the Jindal Explorer, sir. It will be decommissioned on, I think, May 2025. So are we the talks for new contracts? for Jindal Explorers?
We are.
Okay. So what will be the day rate, expected day rate for the Jindal Explorer?
I cannot comment.
Okay. That's all from
The
me.
last purchase price and all day rates are in public domain and also in my presentation.
Okay. Sure, sir.
If you refer to my presentation, I have very clearly put out day rates and duration of contract. I think that will help you in making an assessment.
Okay. I was asking for the future, basically, the new order that we get. It will be around 80,000 per day. That was my question. Now, the current day rate.
I don't know.
Okay. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Dikshit Doshi from Whitestone Financial Advisors Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, and congratulations for good set of numbers. I have one question, sir. We have 3 rented rigs, and these rigs, we pay rent for these rigs, right? So, my question is, how do we give them upside for the coming years? So suppose 3, 4 years, 5 years, this upside is fixed or this is variable? So this is my question.
It is variable because when rig rates increase, then a renegotiation with the rig owner takes place.
Okay, right. Thank you, sir. Hello?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Manikant, an investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, first of all, congratulations on a stellar quarter, and great to hear that you are saying this quarter profits can be considered as a base. Sir, I have a couple of questions. First thing, I see that Virtue 1 and Discovery 1 is going to end in May 2026, and Explorer is going to end in May 2025. So, considering the current rates, the latest ones, Jindal Supreme deployed at 88,000 day rate. So, obviously, that should be the base rate for these new deployments, or can't we say that?
We cannot say that because usually day rates are a function of the international market and the competition available in the Indian market. Last purchase price is not always a confirmed indicator.
Okay. And coming to the next question, so currently we see that the profit operating margin for this quarter has increased to 34%. So can we expect the margins to normalize at this rate?
Yes, definitely. And margins will increase further once the acquisition of Jindal Pioneer goes through.
Okay. And sir, one more final question from my side is that where do we stand currently at the borrowing? So September 2024, we are around 200 crores of borrowings. So where do we stand currently with this quarter?
If you refer to slide 11 of our earnings presentation, gross debt on 31st December 24 is 156 crores. Cash available with the company is 257 crores, giving a net cash position of 101 crores. We've been net cash for quite some time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Please refer slide 11 of the earnings presentation.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Piyush Kumar from Dhanseri Investments. Please go ahead.
Congratulations, sir, for your good set of numbers. I have a question regarding truck has come to power. So how do we see the rig rates going ahead for Jindal Pioneer and Jindal Explorers?
It is difficult to comment based on that one factor alone right now. But if more rigs are required to drill, because Mr. Trump has spoken about his plan of increasing drilling activities, and if more rigs are in operation, then demand for rigs will increase. If demand for rigs increases, then their rental rates will also increase. The increase in rental rates will firstly be evident in the jurisdiction where more drilling takes place, and that will have an effect on the Indian market as well. But to specify a number is not possible at this point.
Okay, sir. Okay, got it, sir. And I was looking at the presentation.
Sorry, I'll just interrupt you. I'll add one more point to the earlier answer. ONGC has also issued a press release on the 9th of January 2025, in which they have hired a technical services provider to advise them on how to increase production in India. That is also a good indicator for drilling contractors, and if you get the time, maybe you can refer to that 2-page press release.
Okay, I will show you both releases. And sir, I was looking at the presentation, page number 6. In Q4 FY25, we are guiding for an order book of 220 crores. So we are expecting revenue for FY24 in the same line?
That is actually a bifurcation of the order book which is being given, which will be different from the actual revenue realized, because when we give the order book, we reduce it by 5% so that we are not overstating the figure that we end up with. So from a conservative perspective, the order book has been given. However, you will notice that in Q3 FY25, the revenue was 239 crores with only 75 days of operation in Jindal Supreme. Revenue for Q4 will be higher than 239 crores because Jindal Supreme will be working for 90 days.
Yes, yes. That is why
the order book is only indicative and has been given to assist interested stakeholders of how the revenue will pan out based on current order book. That has also been mentioned as a disclaimer on the same slide.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Amit Agicha from HG Hawa and Company. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Congratulations, sir, for fantastic results. Sir, my question was connected to investor-related query. Is the company considering any share buyback program to enhance the shareholder value?
We are not considering any such corporate action right now.
And sir, one question last, I think so I missed out everybody. Can you provide insights into the tenure of your existing contracts and how frequently do you renegotiate charter rates and what pricing trends do you anticipate in upcoming renewals?
I will ask you to refer to slide 5 and slide 6 of the earnings presentation. We have given the bifurcation of the order book with day rates and contract duration on slide 5.
Okay, sir. And sir, do you expect them to continue till 27-28, as you have mentioned in the slide?
What do you mean? These are firm contracts. They will definitely continue as per the contracted duration.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you. All the best for the future.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Udit Sehgal from TradeWalk Research. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. I wanted to know, sir, what is the current situation as far as the ONGC tenders are concerned? On the last Concall, we discussed the new tender for Explorer should be out maybe in November and December. So has there been a delay on that, or are we is ONGC negotiating for lower rates?
The tender has been submitted. We are waiting on the outcome.
And the indicative range we had given based on the last tenders was somewhere between 65 to 85,000. Is that the range we are looking at still?
I cannot comment till the tender outcome is decided.
And sir, on any of the rented rigs, do we have any further plans to bring them in our books?
There is a general consensus within the company of consolidating rigs gradually into Jindal Drilling. But it has to make economic sense whenever that is undertaken. As of now, there is one rig owned by a joint venture which is operating in Mexico. We want to acquire that rig, and we are in the final stage. All relevant individuals involved in the acquisition of that rig are working to ensure that this transaction gets concluded within this quarter. Once that is done, then we will make a reassessment. But you will notice that in 2019 we had acquired one rig, and then in 2021 we acquired another rig. The acquisition of these two rigs by Jindal Drilling has been extremely beneficial, and we were aware of the benefits, which is why we did the transaction in the first place, and the benefits still remain. However, each case is unique due to various reasons, and that's why Jindal Pioneer was selected for the third acquisition, for which we have been able to obtain approval from minority shareholders. We want to do that transaction at the earliest. Once that is done, then out of the 5 rigs which Jindal Drilling operates and 1 rig which is owned by the joint venture company, we would have acquired 3 out of these 6. Then we will make a reassessment. But in general, what you are saying is correct.
So, the next growth driver, say in the next 3-4 years, we should look at maybe that we shall be acquiring the rented rigs, or we shall be going in for a brand new rig. I mean, the number could go from say 6 to 7 to 8, or the first focus would be to bring the 3 rigs which are rented into our books.
Most likely, we will go ahead with the consolidation exercise that we started in 2019 and try to acquire the rigs which are on rent to Jindal Drilling, because we know those rigs, we know their technical capabilities. The other reason is that creation of value only happens when assets are brought into the company, and we are mindful of that. We will go ahead with that. In the meanwhile, if a suitable opportunity comes across wherein a good rig is available within our preferred budget, then we will go ahead and acquire that as well, because those opportunities are far and few. Therefore, both options are on the table. We will just have to make an assessment once the transaction of Jindal Pioneer is concluded. Regarding growth driver, I think the contracts of Jindal Explorer, Jindal Star and Discovery 1, when they are renegotiated and we are able to get higher rates, then that will be a material increase in earnings of Jindal Drilling.
Great, sir. I mean, you guys are working really on a long-term roadmap, and you can see the changes happening in the company. Is there also, in the medium term, we are into jack-up rigs. Are we even looking into, the deep water rigs, because we can see globally that those are going at like very high rates?
They are, but their cost of acquisition is also significantly higher. There was a news article some time ago in which ONGC wanted to ONGC wanted to buy its own rig, and I think the time required was almost 3 years, and the amount required was around $300 million for a new rig, which is similar to the rigs which are currently in operation, but obviously with newer technology, because our rigs are now 10 to 15 years old. But the rates that they will receive will be similar, as only a little benefit is received on account of the technical capability of each rig. Hence, it becomes difficult to acquire brand new assets because the initial capital outlay is tremendous. It is a barrier to the industry, and that's why we enjoy the market leadership position.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor and Company. Please go ahead. Saket, if you can please unmute from your end.
आप मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं? Hello? You can hear me? Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. धन्यवाद sir for this opportunity. Sir, as you were just answering to Udit bhai, and you very well clarified that in the process of getting the right value for the assets, all the assets must be under we people are trying to bring the asset under the company so that we can carve out the net asset value also and the annuity run rate also from the existing assets. So this is what you were trying to explain to the earlier participants?
No, sir, I was only talking about creation of value within Jindal Drilling, because we are already running the rigs which are rented, and the main part of rig operation is running the rig. So if we have been able to run the rigs for so many years successfully with the highest levels of efficiency, and we have necessary financial resources to acquire these rigs, then it is in our best interest to acquire these assets, which is what we want to do. At the same time, if we are able to get assets at a cheaper rate in other markets, then we are also open to acquire those, because the net cash position of 101 crores that we have right now, this will only improve going further, because all rigs are now deployed at higher rates. Even the rigs which are owned by joint ventures, they are also deployed. Therefore, cash accrual in Jindal Drilling will increase, and that is the way we want to grow.
Sir, when we look at refurbishment cost, they are the highest whenever a rig is dehired. So if we take that parameter, what should be an ideal percentage which is to be spent on refurbishment, since one of the rigs will be dehired in the coming few months? And so then the benefit of refurbishment, how do it whether it enhances the efficiency or only make the rig just in line to perform for the remaining period? Means you have mentioned that कि हमारी fleet 14-15 साल पुरानी है, तो refurbishment करने से क्या हम latest technology भी retrofit कर पाते हैं कि just जो depreciation हुआ है asset में उसकी recovery कर सकते हैं, उसके लिए work करते हैं?
Sir, refurbishment is a major overhaul that takes place on the rig. The reason why that is required is twofold. One, there are contract requirements that ONGC has, which is unique to each contract. Number two, for safety reasons, we have to ensure that all equipment is maintained and recertified. And the only way to decide if the equipment is safe to use is on recertification. When we go for recertification, since the recertifying agency has certain criteria which has to be met, therefore we have to do whatever is required as per their criteria, and this process takes anywhere between 4 to 6 months to complete. When rigs are operating, then they are operating for 24 hours a day, 365 days a year for 3 years. Any equipment which is running continuously, even if you do maintenance in phases whilst the rest of the rig is in operation, you will still not be able to achieve the criteria requirement which is specified by the certifying body. It is more on account of safety and long-term protection of the equipment rather than anything else. It is like servicing your car. If you service it properly at the specified intervals, then it will work with you for a longer period of time.
Right. And last point, sir, since we are in the process of tendering, we have already submitted the tendering for Jindal Explorer. In terms of the refurbishment cost, can you outline how much we will be spending going ahead on the same?
We are not disclosing that, and it also depends on the tender criteria.
Okay.
Because for different oil wells, the locations are also different, and for those different locations, if new equipment is required, then it is the responsibility of the contractor to procure that equipment. Therefore, the cost of refurbishment, whilst we have a general idea, a specific number cannot be given right now, and further, we are also not disclosing the refurbishment cost that we are incurring.
Right. And lastly, sir, this rig, Jindal Explorer, is deployed in which water, in which part of the geography in the country?
Bombay High. All 5 rigs are deployed in Bombay High.
Okay. And this is where the reason they wanted to improve the output. That is what you articulated earlier to the participants.
Yes, sir. And I will very strongly urge you to refer. Okay, sir.
I read it and said there are other points which we can take offline also, but my understanding was other than this, the entire ancillaries involved will all get a flip, not only the rig. The entire ecosystem will get a flip. That will include the pipe segment also, the other categories also. That understanding is also correct, sir?
That is correct, 100% correct. But when such a press release has been given, it will take some time for ground level capital expenditure to increase. But when that happens, 100% all oil and gas sector related industries will benefit.
Dhanyavad, Kaushalji, and all the best to the team. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Rahul Agarwal from Bandhan Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Kaushal, and congrats. Great set of numbers. Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I'm not sure if this is covered. So broadly, when I'm looking at some of the contracts that are signed globally in the last maybe 6 months, I don't have a lot of data in the near term, but I see some contracts signed in September, December. They have been in the range of 180,000 kind of day rates. So is that something which the industry has moved now? And that is the new normal compared to 120, 130 that it used to be? Like Board Drilling, Valeris, they have signed some $180,000 contracts in Africa and all that.
The rigs which they are using, their technical specifications have to be checked, Rahul. Because if they are 350 feet jack-up rigs, then that has to be checked. The second is that the cost of operations in international waters are different from the cost of operations that are in India.
Okay.
Thirdly, the benefit that we get with ONGC, which is not there with international contractors, is the benefit of long-term contracts, which are firm in nature. So once a contract has been awarded and the performance bank guarantee has been submitted, the contract cannot be cancelled. That benefit is there in India. Whether that benefit is also there in the contracts which are being received by these entities is And the third thing which has to be checked. Generally speaking, oil and gas market is in an upcycle, and we are quite bullish on this sector, which is why we have refurbished Jindal Supreme at a significant cost as well, even though it is a rig which was manufactured in 1975.
Got it. So yeah, you're right. Globally, I think Valoris and all signs only 40-50 days contract. So that is correct. So the other thing is India, how many rigs would be operational as of now?
More than 30 rigs, definitely more than 30 rigs. I was not able to take out the latest data, but if you have subscription to Petrodata, then that figure is very easily available.
And are you seeing any kind of movement on the supply side? Are you seeing some of these shipyards or others starting to make rigs, or that's something still not started?
It has not started yet. The economics don't make sense as of now, because if you are putting in $250 to $300 billion over a period of 3 years, and day rates are at $100,000 per day, that is a theoretical figure, then the payback period calculation is more than 10 years. I think it can go as high as 15 years if you consider interest at 7 to 8%. Therefore, people are still reluctant to build new rigs due to the long gestation period.
Got it. And are we getting opportunities to acquire rigs, maybe at distressed valuations globally? Is that something we have found more opportunities or not so much?
We are not getting opportunities to acquire rigs. When the market is in an upcycle, these opportunities dry up.
Okay. And last question from my side. Normally, how do you hedge? What is the hedging policy?
We have a natural hedge because the rigs that we own, we don't have to pay any rentals. For the 3 rigs that are rented, the receivable in USD is much higher than the payable in USD. Therefore, we have a natural hedge.
But your natural hedge is till what extent? Is it like 60-70% or it's as high as 80-90%?
100%. So all these rigs, the 3 rented rigs, the rate that we pay is denominated in dollars.
Correct, but you make a margin, so that much you will be exposed to. Even in your owned rigs, that is not something which you have a natural hedge, right? Rented, I understand, but your owned rigs will not have a natural hedge, right?
Okay, but the rate of inflation in India is generally higher than rate of inflation in the US, so dollar will continually appreciate.
That upside we will get, I agree. So I'm just trying to understand how big can that upside be?
So for the payable, we have a natural hedge, and for the open receivable that we have, sometimes we do have forward contract bookings, but generally we keep them open. That is why we have a foreign exchange gain of around 9 crores in the December quarter, and if the dollar remains at the level where it is right now, we should see similar gains in March quarter, because half of the dollar appreciation happened in December and the rest of it happened in January.
Okay. And lastly, is there any other upstream service offering that you are thinking about apart from the rigs?
Not right now. It is only in the rig segment that we are working, and it has been a long journey to ensure that all rigs are operational. Because in the past 7-8 years, there was always a time when one rig was either under refurbishment. By the time it came out of refurbishment, the next rig went into refurbishment. So we've never achieved a timing where all rigs were operational so that the entire impact of 100% operations can be reflected in financials. That will happen for the first time in March 2025 quarter. First time after a very long duration, maybe 7, 8, 9 years.
Yeah. No, that's great. And all the very best. I think good times ahead. So all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Siddhartha Matthew, an investor. Please go ahead. Siddharth, if you can unmute your line and proceed with your question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Congratulations to the management team. I just wanted to get a sense of what are some of the risks that we see in this business overall, other than sustained oil prices, ONGC potentially canceling or renegotiating contracts. What are some of the other risks that we can think about?
The only risk in this industry is securing a contract from ONGC. There is no other risk which cannot be addressed apart from the ability to secure a contract from ONGC. Everything else can be addressed only once we get a contract from our customer. Once the contract is received, then it's a firm contract. It is not renegotiated. It is not cancelled.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Abhi, an investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. I think my question was touched upon just a couple of someone just prior to this, but I want to just touch base on that. I think you guys are in contracting of rigs business, but looking at the oil exploration prospects in future, and also looking at the recent this ONGC press release on 9th Jan. Isn't it worthwhile to build that competency of technical exploration services or the technical service provider, what ONGC is looking at international players? Are we not in a position to kind of start or looking at building that competency in-house so that would be a good combination along with rig rentals? Does that make sense?
I can understand what you're saying, but that is more of an advisory role, which is not where we are positioned. We are in the business of operating rigs with ONGC and getting paid for it. And we've been doing that for the past 35 years. In addition to operating jackup rigs, offshore jackup rigs with ONGC, we also have directional drilling and mud logging services, which are small divisions and give good margin, but it is not possible to scale those businesses up. That is the entire universe of services that we offer, and I don't think we want to diversify into other businesses, because in our current business we are making 30-35% EBITDA margins, which will only improve going forward if we are able to consolidate rigs into Jindal Drilling. One of the rigs which we want to purchase, we hope to conclude the transaction within March 2025, and that will also shoot up our margins. Therefore, on a consolidated basis, we think that our market leadership position is justified, and that is where we want to capitalize on. We don't want to diversify into sectors which we do not fully understand. Rather, we want to grow in sectors where we are market leaders, thereby playing to our strengths.
Agreed. I think the point is, so let me put it this way, right? I think you also just mentioned early in the call that the entry barrier to this industry is pretty high, capex, and adding rigs, new rigs also is like dependent on high capex as well, right? So looking at 3 to 5 years down the line from growth perspective, I think there would be kind of a linearity in terms of the amount of number of rigs that you would deploy and the kind of revenue growth that you would get, right? And that's where I think these value-added services not only provides edge in terms of getting to know the requirements of ONGC, but also adds more non-linearity to the revenue growth is kind of a thought process. But I understand. That's where I would leave it.
In this quarter, let us conclude the Jindal Pioneer transaction, which I have been promising shareholders for more than a year now, and I really hope that that transaction goes through. Once that happens, then we can do a reassessment. But for now, all our energies are focused in ensuring that the Jindal Pioneer transaction is concluded. We appreciate your feedback, sir, but please bear with us for one more quarter.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Manikant, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for taking me back again. So, just now you are touching upon that point, right? I was about to ask you. So what's the main reason that's stopping or holding back the acquisition of Jindal Pioneer? Because it's been a year. So is there any real problems that we are facing, or what's stopping that?
There is no problem as such. It is only the gamut of regulations that we have to navigate. When we obtained shareholder approval in March of 2024, we wanted to conclude the transaction quickly. Now, in order to conclude the transaction quickly, due to the difference in the execution of the transaction and the physical delivery of the rig into India, due to that time gap being longer than is permitted by existing regulations, we have to obtain approval. So we applied for approval in April 2024, and we kept following up for the approval. Unfortunately, that approval is still pending. However, since almost a year has elapsed, now we don't require the approval. The application for approval has become infructuous. That is our reading of the matter. We are taking an opinion on it, and once we get a clear opinion, then we'll have to approach the customer with whom the rig is deployed and take his consent to go ahead with the transaction. That is the entire story behind this. When rigs are given on rent to a third party, then the third party has to approve the change of ownership of the rig.
Got it. Okay. I hope that will commence in this quarter. And second one, sir, regarding Jindal Explorer, we have hardly, if I'm not wrong, 4 months of time. And you said that you have already quoted for the next order. So can we expect that to complete in these 4 months, or do you see a sleeping time for Jindal Explorer for some time?
We will get to know whether we've got the contract or not before conclusion of the contract. And even if we don't get the contract, then we'll be able to participate in the next contract, because once the contract ends, even if it ends in May, then we have a 6-month gap in which we have to refurbish the rig. Therefore, the new contract is still some way off. There is no risk right now.
Okay. And then my final question is, you said like you have good net cash now. So are you looking at acquiring other rented rigs as well? Like you are planning for...
The reason why we are conserving the cash is because we have to pay for Jindal Pioneer. If that transaction goes through, then we'll have to make payments.
But how much of the cash will go for Pioneer?
I
think you said $75 million.
$75 million is the purchase price.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Dikshant from DB Wealth. Please go ahead.
Hi. Congratulations on such great results and congratulations on the upcycle as well. Sir, the whole idea of asking the question is, where are we in the cycle right now at a larger stage? Are we starting the upcycle or are we already well through in the cycle right now?
The upcycle in the oil and gas industry started after the Russia-Ukraine war in February 2022.
Mm-hmm. So, since you are a pioneer in this particular industry for so many years, I would want to understand that where is your sense of this cycle? Do you think it's going to be a 5 to 7 year cycle? Because such cycles tend to be longer than shorter. What is your outlook on this, sir?
It will be a longer cycle, especially because of the political change that has taken place in the US with the new government wanting to improve drilling operations. We believe the cycle will be longer than before.
Okay, so do you think it's going to be like a decade-old cycle or it's going to be like a 5 years from now cycle?
If I would have been able to predict that with accuracy, I would just go ahead and start trading in oil futures rather than work in Jindal Drilling.
No, sir, I completely understand. Sir, the second question is on the line of, right now we are in a good stage, cash-wise also, our particular operations are also running at maximum efficiency, as you just pointed out. Do you think that we have now made, after the Ukraine war, the oil is at a particular bottom also? Hopefully. Do you think now we are at a point where we can look to be aggressive on another expansion front? Or what is your guess on this? Are we looking to improve our operations, do some sort of capex, or are we looking to improve our efficiency right now?
The only capex which we are doing is acquisition of Jindal Pioneer, which is expected in this quarter. That is the only acquisition on the cards right now. Once that transaction is done, we'll do a reassessment.
Okay. Got it, sir. Sir, one more question on the cycle part. I understand it's difficult to predict any cycle, but do you think that we are at the peak of the cycle right now?
No, because crude is not at an all-time high for an extended period.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor and Company. Please go ahead. Saket, if you can hear me.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, as you mentioned that $75 million is what is envisaged for the acquisition of Jindal Pioneer. So that is the enterprise value, the total cash outgo we are going ahead, or the enterprise value including the debt which it may carry?
There is no debt.
There is no debt. And so there is
no debt on the rig.
Okay. So that is the enterprise value we are paying. And so this asset has been deployed in the Mexican waters. So we will be eyeing to deploy it in the same vicinity, or what would be the thought process going ahead in with respect to its deployment?
We want to bring the rig into India. That is why we want to buy the rig. Rig rates in India are good, and the asset remains within our control. So unless we get a really good rate, like $180,000, as one of the earlier participants was mentioning, unless that happens, we will deploy the rig in India.
And lastly, sir, what is the year of manufacturing for this asset?
Jindal Pioneer, March 2015.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I now hand the conference over to the management for its closing comments.
Thank you, shareholders, for participating in the earnings call. We try to provide necessary inputs on the performance of the company and explain whatever is required so that your understanding is improved further. In case there are any further questions, please feel free to reach out. We are committed to enhancing value for all stakeholders and improve profitability of the company. We are working on that, and we also take into account the inputs that we receive from our shareholders. Thank you to Mr. Varatharajan from Antique Stock Broking for organizing this call, and I look forward to interacting with you in future.
Thank you. On behalf of Antique Stock Broking Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.